Chad Moyer with you here on the Rural Radio Network. It is time for our Fridays in the Field segment, brought to you once again by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank. And here we are in Creston, Nebraska, once again visiting with Bob Larson from Larson Dairy Farms. Bob, thanks for joining us here today. There's been a lot of activity on the farm since we last visited with you. First of all, bring us kind of up to date. Over the last 5-6 weeks, what has been accomplished on the farm?
Yeah, we would have got fourth cutting hay put up here. I would have been one of them. Just finished up chopping corn silage here now, and end of this week we're going to start combining already, so doing some high moisture corn, so it's kind of starting to see the finish line on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about that corn silage harvest first of all. Kind of take me through it. How did the corn silage harvest go? Tell me about tonnage and quality and things like that.
Yeah, we do it's called a unified, it's a modified BMR silage that we use for dairy cow. It's very, very highly digestible, so it doesn't ton as good, but it's very digestible to the cows. So we give up a little bit of tonnage, but we had really good tonnage this year on our corn silage. We did some irrigated and then we did some dry land, and both were right at about average of where we normally get on our corn silage. So we were really happy with the yield. We are irrigating a lot. We're dry around here. It hasn't rained very much, so we're kind of starting to see some spots really show up pretty bad in fields and that kind of stuff, but still looks like we're going to get some corn off of that, but there are certain areas it's going to be a pretty low yield on it. So.
Yeah, and that was, as far as the corn silage was concerned, that I had heard that was some of the concern, was were you going to have enough ear? Were you going to put enough nutrition into that silage pile? And you're pretty confident there is enough?
Yeah, there's plenty of energy in that corn silage, and I'm real happy with what it's going to feed out for the dairy, because that's kind of one of the best things to make milk is you got to have good corn silage, and we're going to have good corn silage this year. So,
all right, let's talk a little bit about the soybeans, kind of their status. I happen to be standing in a soybean field here this time around, and I notice it is under a pivot, but it still looks pretty green. What's kind of the status of your soybeans now?
Yeah, so these are a 3-1 maturity bean, so they're going to be they're going to be holding there till the end, holding some of the green, but we're getting a lot of bean fill in those pods, so we're not far away from harvest, but they are holding green. So these did have a late fungicide. We're trying to keep them getting as much of that test weight into the soybeans as we possibly can. So we want them to be green as long as we can, but we're getting pretty good grain fill out of it, so I'm pretty happy with them.
Okay, so tell me your theory. Tell me your as much as you can the way that you go about growing soybeans. What is kind of your formula, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we kind of like to not put a lot of herbicides on after the June 21st. I think that's the longest day, the first day of summer. That's when all our flowers start coming onto the beans. So we really hate to, every time we stress those beans, we lose some flowers. Well, the flowers turn into pods, so we every time we knock those, we hurt them. So we're seeing a few more weeds this year. We're going to have to change our strategy a little bit for next year. We did spray a couple weeks before that, or 10 days, I think. So we were around the 11th of June is when we would have sprayed our herbicide on everything, but we've got some weeds, so it's not really what we want to see that way. So we're going to have to change, but overall, I'm really happy with how we flowered. We've got a lot of pods on the nodes. We do go through and try to keep the insects down, spray some PGRs on there, and try to keep these things as healthy and happy as they can throughout the year. And I guess I'm really happy. There's a lot of pods that showed up on the nodes, and beans look like they're going to be heavy. So I'm fairly confident we're looking at some really good bean yields out here. So,
have you had to deal with any bugs in the soybeans this year?
Yeah, we had some earlier bugs out there that we came with an insecticide and took care of those. And right now we're fighting a stem borer that's in there, and that's something we're going to have to put in next year's to address, because it takes a special insecticide to try to kill that. So it's a specific week and a specific insecticide that you kind of got to go after it when it's a larvae, and we're gonna try to get that on the list for next year, because we are finding it out there, and whenever it hits that node or that plant there, that leaf or that stem just dies. So we got to address that, or that's one thing that could happen on these, because some of it's in the middle that if you let it get too dry, we know they're going to fall over, just because there's some of those got bored into. So we have to be right away with the combine on this.
Yep. All right. Switching gears to now corn, you said at the beginning, not far away from corn harvest. How far away are we?
Well, we're probably going to be picking by Friday. So we're going to start taking some high moisture corn out, and it's progressed very fast around here. We were black layer, or we had a milk line yet last week, and so now we're past black layer, and we're in the 20s on moisture. So it's surprising how fast things are progressing around here.
Were you satisfied? Did the cob fill out? Did you get enough, around? And does it look like there's going to be some kernel weight at harvest time?
We're definitely going to lose some test weight on it. The kernels, for the most part, we could tell early on we were really good in the season. We pollinated good. We've got the kernels. We just didn't get it to finish. So we're going to be low on test weight, I'm sure, on that. And
all right, Bob, it's good to talk to you again. Thank you so much for letting us follow along with you here this summer. Give us the updates here from Creston, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you, Chad.
Again, we've been visiting with Bob Larson, Larson Dairy Farm at Creston, Nebraska, our Fridays in the Field segment here in Northeast Nebraska. It's brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank. Here on the Rural Radio Network, Chad Moyer reporting.